What's up, guys? Stefan here, S&E's Garage. Behind me we have a 1987 Grady White Overnighter 20-footer with a 200 Johnson Evinrude two-stroke outboard. Now, we picked this boat up with the motor not running for $2,500. And for those of you that are familiar with boats, a Grady White is a very well-known, high-quality boat. So we felt that we got a really good deal on this. Now, when we purchased it, we got it without the trailer. We went out and we got this trailer to throw under it for $1,000. So without the repairs, we were into the boat for $3,500. So let me walk you around the boat. I'm going to show you exactly the kind of things you should be looking at if you're looking at buying a boat to flip. And yeah, let's just check it out. The first thing you're going to want to look at here is the motor. The motor is one of the more important parts of the boat. It's what makes it move. If you don't have a motor, you just have a boat that'll float, and that's about it. So when we purchased this, it did not run. We were unable to hear it run. But we were able to jump the starter with a jump pack and check compression. And you'll see we wrote all of our compression numbers down: 95, 95, 100, 100, 105, 100. So they are all within 10 psi of each other. And that's kind of what you want to see. You want to see that all 4, 6, 8, how many cylinders your outboard or inboard motor has. You just want to see that it has good compression, because if it has good compression, the chances are you're going to be able to get it to run. And this boat does now run. I'm going to show you that in a little bit. But after we look at your motor, you're going to want to start looking at the transom, because this is the second most important part of the boat. The transom is where, if you have an outboard, your motor bolts to, or if you have a stern drive or an inboard, it's usually where your stern drive is going to come out. So you just want to kind of, check over it. You want to look for any cracks, any type of damage to it. What I like to do is I put my foot here on this skeg and I shake it, and I look to see if there's any flex in the transom, and this one was solid. If you knock on it, you can hear this transom is nice and solid, so we were good there. Now, before you go and buy a boat, you want to make sure you're getting a good deal on it. So what I like to do, I look at NADA values, and I see, what is this boat going for? High retail, low retail. What are we going to be able to sell it for? And this boat was between $9,000 and $11,000, if I remember. I'm going to throw a screenshot down below. So we were in it for $3,500 before any repairs, and we should be able to double our money on this boat. So let me show you exactly what we had to do. I'll throw some pictures in before and after, and you'll see what kind of work we had to do to get this thing running. So after you check compression on your outboard, inboard, whatever you got, you see they have good compression. You check your transom. You're just going to want to walk around the boat, check the rub rails, make sure the rub rails are straight. You're going to want to look for any, gel coat damage or any sign that the hull is compromised. And this boat was pretty straight. We did have some nicking here. We do have some nicking on this corner. But right here we had to do some fiberglass work. And I'm going to put some pictures in right now probably. But we actually had to do, it wasn't structural, it was strictly cosmetic. Somebody repaired it, but they did a real, crappy job. So we straightened it out. And for what it is, the boat is in pretty good shape. So after you check, the outside of the boat, you check your trailer tires if it comes with a trailer. You're going to want to get up into the boat. And the next thing you're going to want to check is the floors. Step on the floors, jump on it a little bit, make sure they are solid, and you'll see that these are. It's okay if there's a little bit of flex in the fuel tank cover, that's not a big deal. And then we're going to come up to the helm. You're going to want to check your steering, make sure that the motor turns when you turn your steering wheel, because steering cables can become seized. And then the same thing with the throttle cables. You're going to want to check them, throttle and gear shift cables. We actually did have to put new cables in this, so this does have new throttle cables in it. Now anytime you're buying an old outboard or a boat with an old outboard, you're always going to plan on having to do spark plugs. You're always going to plan on having to do an impeller, which is basically the water pump, which is down there in the lower unit. So add that to the cost of your repair, because it's a guaranteed. You're almost, definitely going to have to do that. So like I said, we went ahead and did that. And this thing runs absolutely awesome now. So let me put some rabbit ears on it. We'll fire it up. Alright guys, so here we have the rabbit ears on it. And I just kind of, like I said, I wanted to go over what exactly we had to do to get this thing running. So like I mentioned before, anytime you're buying an old outboard, you're guaranteed you're going to have to put an impeller in it. That's super important. It's made out of rubber. It dry rots from sitting. So we replaced that. We did 6 new spark plugs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we had to clean all 6 carburetors. Now the carburetors are back here behind this air intake. And believe it or not, that's all this thing took to get running, because like I said, as long as you have good compression, chances are that motor's going to run. Now one other thing that we did have to do, because this boat did sit for a while, is we had to pump out the fuel tank, because with the ethanol and the fuel, it separates and there was water at the bottom of the fuel. So we went ahead, pumped the tank out, and we installed this separator here. So what we're going to do now, this is an oil injected motor. So we're going to go ahead and pump up our oil bubble, prime the oil. We're going to prime our fuel here. And you pump it until this gets nice and hard. We're going to come up here. Neutral on this boat is out and up. So we're going to give it a little bit of throttle. We're going to push in for choke and turn the key. Give it a little more throttle. And there we go. Now once you get it running, you're going to want to inspect your pisser there, the telltale, and that's going to tell you if your motor is pumping oil, and pumping water rather. So the water pump impeller that we replaced is working, and this motor runs great. Now, like I said, we cleaned the carburetors, we did the spark plugs, we changed the impeller, we did the throttle cables, and the steering cable, and the gear cable, gear selector cable, and this motor fired right off. So all in, we're into this boat for right around $4,000, which really for a boat like this, like I said, between $9,000 and $10,000, we're going to easily double our money on this. Now with a 2-stroke, it's going to be normal to see a little bit of smoke. You want a little bit of smoke, because that means it's getting oil. So don't be alarmed if you fire up your 2-stroke and it's smoking a little bit. Like I said, you want that. You want to listen to how it's running. You'll hear it if it's misfiring. It'll be rather obvious. So you'll hear that this one is running phenomenally right now. So when you're going to buy a boat for profit, you have to think to yourself, how much do I want to make on this boat? So we like to try to double our money on anything we do. That's a rule of thumb. Sometimes you make a little more, sometimes you make a little less. So we kind of figured we would try to be all in at around $4,000, and that's right where we ended up. Like I said, the boat was $2,500 with the motor. Spent $1,000 on the trailer. That put us at $35,000, and then we had about $1,000, between $1,000 and $1,500 to try to, get the boat 100% right to be all in under $5,000, which was our goal, and we came in right around $4,000. So like I said, we got the motor running. Once we got the motor running and we knew we had a good motor, that's when we went ahead and did all the cables. We got it running before we put any cables in it, because if the motor wasn't going to run, we weren't going to bother putting cables on it. We were going to sell the boat as is and still make a little bit of money on it. So, well, we ended up doing pretty good on this one. We took a deposit on it the other day for $8,500. We're actually taking the guy out on a ride on it tomorrow. And if he likes, what he sees when it's out on the water, he's going to take it. And we're going to put $4 grand in our pockets for minimal work. And like I said, it's straight profit. You'll see now that the motor's been running, it'll literally fire right off. things need a little bit of throttle, these two strokes, when you start them. So we'll put it in neutral, give it a little. And there you have it. Now this is the second boat we flipped this summer, and we weren't actually going out looking for boats to flip. I was going to use this boat, but then I stumbled upon a boat that was a couple of years newer with the newer Grady White hull design and a 4-stroke on it, and I couldn't pass that up. So we had already started, you know, prepping this thing, get it working, because I wanted to put it in the water this summer, and that ended up getting put on the back burner because we did some things to the new boat that I just bought. That's in the water now. You guys, if you look in the community page, you'll see that I posted about it, so check that out. We're gonna make a video on that soon. But we worked on this boat as if I was gonna use it. So whoever's getting this, the gentleman that put the deposit is getting a boat that I would put my kids in. You'll see here, this boat has a complete cuddy cabin with the cushions. It's got all the cushions. It's got a helm cover. It's got a little 12-volt light in here. It's a nice little cabin, and it'll be good for somebody with young kids or somebody that wants to go fishing and crabbing. They can put all their gear in the cabin, and they have this whole deck, you know, to basically do whatever they want. So we've found that the best place to buy a boat that needs some work that you're going to get relatively cheap is a marina, and that's where we bought this from. This boat was abandoned by its owner at the marina, and they owed a ton of money on storage costs. So what the boat owner did is they just handed the title over to the marina, and at that point the boat had already been sitting since 2016. So, you know, the boat needed work. The marina didn't want to have to do the work, so they just kind of want to unload them, just so they can get the money they're owed from, you know, the owner back. So that's why we were able to pick this boat up for $2,500. That, and the fact that it was purchased as a non-running boat, because like I said, even you want to check your compression. If your compression's good, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be able to get that motor to run, but you're still taking a chance on it. So don't spend too much money on a boat that you've never heard run, and that's right where we were with this, because like I had said, we never heard this thing ran until about 2 weeks ago, and now we took it out in the water. We know it runs absolutely great. And we're happy with it, and we hope that the new owner is going to be happy with it. So remember, if you're gonna buy boats to flip them, always check compression if the motor doesn't run. Always plan on it at least having to do with tune-up, spark plugs, impeller, and at minimum clean the carburetors if it's carbureted. That's like a guaranteed that you're going to have to do on an outboard that's been sitting for a while. Always check the transom, make sure there's no flex in the transom, no cracks. If the transom's soft or wet, you know, steer away from that. That's like a $3,000–4,000 job to rip a transom out of a boat and replace it. And you don't just want to stick lipstick on a pig. You know, you want to sell somebody a boat that's going to be sturdy. So we did our due diligence with this boat. We know it has good bones. We got it running. We did what we had to do, and now we're going to make some money on it. So if this video interests you, or if you want to see more things like this with boats, cars, anything, you know, I get involved with a little bit of everything. I do a lot of flips. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.